Welcome to this short video on finding time for fundraising. Groups often tell us that a lack of time is a major obstacle to their fundraising. This isn't unique to LGBT groups. Most smaller community and voluntary groups struggle with the same thing. This short video provides some tips for how to find a bit more time for fundraising for your group and some ideas for how to use that time efficiently. I know what you're thinking. You already have a million other things to do and you simply don't have more time for fundraising. Things come up every day, there are emergencies to deal with, and your fundraising time gets eaten up before you know it. Yes, finding time for fundraising can be hard, and it's understandable why fundraising might get pushed to the bottom of our to-do list. Fundraising can be difficult. Fundraising can be boring. Fundraising can bring up self-doubt and fear of failure, especially if you're new to it. Asking for money, being responsible for generating income for your group are both huge responsibilities. You may be scared by the idea of stepping out of your comfort zone. You may be scared by being more visible and perhaps more vulnerable as an LGBT person or group. No wonder we sometimes want to hide under the duvet. Almost everyone who fundraises feels that burden and has those fears, including people who have been fundraising for years. But we must feel the fear and do it anyway. We have to if we want to keep delivering the work. If we want our organisations to keep going and to be sustainable and to serve more LGBT people. We have to give regular and focused time to fundraising. And with this regular time and focus, you'll start to see the results. The money will come in, the bigger money, and you'll also get to have that buzz of achievement. You'll start to build your skills and confidence. You'll try new things, and you might even find you enjoy fundraising. We've put together 5 top tips to help you find more time and space for your fundraising. Step 1. Share the load. If you're watching this video, chances are you've taken on the responsibility or been given the responsibility for fundraising for your group. But have you asked yourself if you need to do this alone, or can you share the load with others? We all have different skills. Some of us are good at writing, some of us are great at networking and building relationships and selling a cause face to face. Others are skilled with computers and working online. Some people are really good at organising events. Ideally, everyone in your group, trustees, staff and volunteers, would have a role to play in fundraising, and each person should have a set of tasks to do. It's best that one person is coordinating your group's fundraising efforts though, and that you check in regularly to discuss your progress and plan activities. You may want to pause this video here and think about this. What skills could individuals in your group contribute to fundraising? How and when could you ask these people to get involved? Step 2. Take baby steps. As with most other tasks, breaking fundraising down into smaller steps helps greatly. Do you have a list of bids you need to write, or a list of other fundraising tasks? If not, it's worth taking some time to make your to-do list. If you have a fundraising strategy, you can look at that and break your tasks down for the month or the quarter, and then break them down even further into weekly tasks. Make your weekly tasks realistic and doable in the time you have available. What could you complete in an hour? Perhaps reading a funder's guidelines and looking at other projects they funded, drawing up a budget for your bid, writing a letter for corporate support, setting up an online fundraising page, setting a date for an event and contacting potential venues. All of these are potentially doable in an hour. If you don't have a fundraising strategy, it's always a good idea to create one to guide your fundraising activity. This doesn't have to be a huge task, and you could potentially even do a quick back of the envelope version in an hour. The LGBT Consortium has resources and support to help with this, so do reach out to us if you want more info. Step 3. Schedule time in your diary. Assess how much time you currently devote to fundraising and how much additional time you could realistically give to fundraising tasks each week. If you don't currently dedicate weekly time to fundraising, could you give 1, 2, or 3 hours of uninterrupted time to fundraising tasks? If you currently have half a day a week for fundraising, could you increase this by an hour or two, or even another half a day? This applies to everyone in your group with a role to play in fundraising. If 2 or 3 people spend even half an hour each week on dedicated fundraising tasks, you could progress your fundraising activities quite significantly over 1 month. So schedule fundraising time into your calendar and make it sacred time. Think about where you could work to minimize disruptions and distractions. At home, the library, a coffee shop, or borrow an office. Consider what you need to let go of or say no to in order to create and safeguard your fundraising time. Is there someone else in your group who can take other tasks off your hands to help you have time for fundraising? Or perhaps you need to recruit one or more volunteers to help with other tasks. Piling one more thing on top of an already toppling tower of responsibilities is never good. It's best to make space, take something off the tower first. But don't wait until you have permanent support in place. Take your fundraising time this week and see what happens. See it as an experiment. Step 4. Manage your fundraising time. When you're short of time or find it hard to focus, a timer is a great resource. There are numerous free timer apps and websites available, and perhaps you've already used some of them. The Pomodoro method can be really helpful. Invented by Francesco Cirillo in the 1980s, there's a lot of science behind why it works, but basically Francesco had a kitchen timer in the shape of a pomodoro, which is Italian for tomato, and set it for 25 minutes of focused work time. After 25 minutes, he had a 5-minute break, and after 4 25-minute sessions, he had a 15-minute break. He now teaches this method to business executives all over the world. You can find free Pomodoro timers online and also free apps for your phone, or you may just want to use a stopwatch. If 25 minutes doesn't work for you, try setting another time span that's either shorter or longer, depending on your level of concentration. You can adjust it up and down until you find the right balance of focused work and breaks. We know of someone with ADHD who sets their timer for 7-minute slots with a 3-minute break in between. Do what works for you. When we're dealing with problems all the time in our groups and working to overcome obstacles, it's easy to also focus on the problems and obstacles in our fundraising. But when you sit down to fundraise, think about the outcome. What do you want to achieve in the time you have available that day? How much money do you aim to bring in with this fundraising task? And what will you do with the money? How will LGBT people's lives be improved? Having a goal or intended outcome can really help to motivate us and get us in the right mindset for the task we're about to do. You may want to write the goal in your diary or on a post-it note to have beside you as you begin the task. Step 5. Reach out for support. It's easy to feel isolated as a fundraiser and feel you're struggling on alone. Hopefully you'll have others in your group who are also fundraising. Or you might want to talk with other LGBT groups and non-LGBT groups about their fundraising. You could join fundraising networks locally if they exist or online. There is competition for funds in our sector, as in every sector. And groups can be reluctant to share funding opportunities they've found or are working on. But there's also amazing camaraderie and support, as well as collaboration. Partnership working really does make us stronger. I hope you found these 5 tips useful and will put at least one of them into practice to help your fundraising. Remember that the LGBT Consortium is here to help members with fundraising questions and problems, so do get in touch with us for further guidance and support. You'll also find further fundraising resources on our website when you log in as a member. So thank you for watching today, and we wish you all the best with your fundraising.